I have been wanting to talk about the Blumhouse Halloween movies for a long time. And now that Halloween Ends has come and gone, I think it's finally time to revisit the trilogy as a whole. Now, I'm going to be talking about all three movies. I'm going to break it into parts. I was going to do just a whole video on all three of them, but that's just going to take too long. It's going to be the video is going to be too long, so breaking it into three parts, one for 2018, one for kills, and one for ends. So without further ado, let's start this journey and begin with Halloween 2018. The Halloween 2018 trilogy it's not the most perfect trilogy. Hell, they're not my favorite Halloween movies. Look, guys, this movie isn't bad. There's a lot of really good aspects. The first act of this movie is fire, guys. The first act of 2018 is so damn good. The setup and Michael's escape. I love the opening scene too. I love how the mask holds power. There's just this presence to the mask. Michael doesn't even have to be wearing the mask. You could just feel the essence of him, the essence of evil inside that mask. Michael is just a man until he puts that mask on. And I just love the way they capitalize on the mask and how that whole opening scene is amazing. I love the opening scene. I think it's great. It works perfectly for this movie. Amazing. The opening credits too with the pumpkin, awesome. I love how it reanimates. Loved it. That was great. Michael's escape was great, like I said. So good. I love that scene, and I especially love when Hawkins shows up and he sees the aftermath of Michael's rampage. I love when Halloween movies do this. I love when we see the aftermath of Michael's killing spree like this, and it reminded me especially of Halloween 4 when Loomis shows up to the ambulance and all the paramedics, all the doctors, they're all dead. All you see in there is blood, and what we don't see is scarier. Long story short, the moment Michael gets his mask back is one of the best moments in the franchise. I'll never forget seeing that on the big screen. It was amazing. Just an amazing moment. That moment will always be one of my favorites in the franchise. Whole first half of the film, to be honest, is just really, really good. Really good. From the first scene all the way to the scene of Michael going house to house. So good. You had such a great start. The first half is so good, and then the second half is just kind of The party subplot is a bore, to be honest. Nobody cares about that dumb subplot if the characters aren't going to be that entertaining to watch. Characters make a movie. Obviously story too, but characters make a movie too. You gotta have good characters. The characters are just very meh. The characters are so boring in this movie, except Vicky. I think Vicky was the only fun new character, and Hawkins. I really liked Hawkins. The other characters were okay. Oscar was really annoying. Cameron was okay too. He was fine. Allison was fine. She's just kind of there. She's just there doing her thing. Vicky's death scene could have been so much cooler. The closet light being off and then Michael emerging from the darkness and pulling Vicky into the closet would have actually been so much cooler. I mean, the scene was fine already. I like that whole sequence, but again, I think that would have looked cooler. I kind of nitpicking, I know, guys, but I just think that would have looked cooler. Just wanted to point that out. And Laurie and Michael should have had a confrontation. That scene when, Laurie shows up and she sees Michael in the window and she shoots at him and it's actually just a reflection, and then Michael just walks out. Like, I don't know, that whole sequence is kind of dumb to me. A fight should have happened. I don't know. There should have been a confrontation. I feel like there should have been a confrontation. There should have been a chase scene with Allison and Michael also. you see a lot of scenes in this movie that have so much potential to be like really amazing, and then they end up just being kind of basic. You know, they kind of just like the scene with Allison. There could have been a really cool chase scene with Michael and Allison, but instead Allison just runs away. Michael doesn't go after her for some reason. You know, there's a lot of scenes like that I feel in this movie. I think that's the biggest problem I have with this movie, is that there's a lot of scenes that have amazing build-up, and then you're like, oh my god, it's going to be really good, and then the scene either ends too quick or it goes nowhere. I don't know. There's, again, like the scene with Laurie and Michael, their first confrontation 40 years. I mean, that's a cool moment, but then it kind of just ends, and you're like, you want more from it. You want more from it. You're left starving for more. The Oscar death scene was kind of cool, though. That was a cool scene. I liked that scene. Nothing kind of happens for the whole second act till the plot kind of needs to move to Laurie's house for the third act. So the second act is kind of just drag. It does drag on. I feel like it drags on too long, the second act. Eventually the plot's like, oh wait, we need to wrap this up. So what does the movie do to get Michael to Laurie's house? Create one of the dumbest and strangest subplots in any Halloween movie. And trust me, there's some dumbass subplots in Halloween movies. There has been. And I'm not saying this one's the worst one, but it's definitely up there with one of the worst ones. The whole Sartain subplot, the whole Sartain thing was stupid as fuck, dude. It doesn't even go anywhere. He literally dies 7 minutes later. The whole reason for its existence is to get Michael to Laurie's house. Michael could give 3 fucks about her. That's why Sartain has to bring Michael to Laurie's house, because Michael doesn't care to go to Laurie's house. He doesn't. The third act is a bore, to be honest. The movie tries so hard to create tension and suspense. It just doesn't work. I feel like it tries really hard, and I think Kills definitely improves on that aspect, but 10 minutes of Laurie just going room to room was such a yawn fest, bro. I mean, overly long for no reason, and I understand why it's there. It creates suspense, but it just doesn't work. It's trying to be suspenseful, but it's kind of just boring to watch. It lacks suspense, and it lacks a lot of Michael. Like, it lacks a lot of Michael action. Like, we see Michael killing people. The house-to-house scene with Michael is amazing. That's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. It may be my favorite scene. That's such a great sequence. It's all one shot. So good, guys. That's such a good scene. But where's the scenes of Michael just, stalking? Where's the scenes of him behind a bush? I know there's that one scene at the cemetery, which I love that scene. There's just a tinge more of it in Kills, but still, it lacked. I think the whole trilogy lacked it. The coolest scene from the third act was definitely the door scene between Michael and Laurie. That was a great scene. And then Laurie blowing Michael's fingers off was awesome, too. That was a cool scene. The fire scene was cool when she sets the house on fire and Michael's burning the basement. I love the last shot of the basement is empty. You don't see Michael. I think that's really, really cool. The rest was okay. I mean, Laurie and Michael's fight was so silly. I mean, imagine preparing 40 years only to get knocked off a balcony 5 seconds into the fight. Like, that shit was embarrassing. Also, the scene where Laurie emerges from the darkness and says, "Happy Halloween, Michael." I'm so sorry, but that was so silly. I laughed so hard when that scene came up. When I saw it for the first time, I was like, yeah, oh my god, that's so cool. It's a callback to the original Halloween. But I've seen this movie a lot of times already, and I'm realizing that scene's fucking ridiculous. It's so silly. It's so corny, and then the line was really corny, too. The end was nice again. I like the final shots of Laurie's house burning. James Jude Courtney is fucking amazing. That guy is my favorite Michael Myers, hands down. He completely embodies what Michael Myers is. He is the best one. I don't care. He is my favorite Michael Myers. And the soundtrack too, John Carpenter killed it. The soundtrack was amazing. Also, before we end the video, let's talk about Laurie real quick. This is an aspect I'm really excited to get into, because I'm not a fan of Laurie in this movie, and I kind of talked about it briefly, if I recall, in my H2O video. I'm not the biggest fan of the direction they took Laurie Strode in this movie. It doesn't make sense. To me personally, my humble opinion, it doesn't make any sense that her character would become this way. I really like the PTSD aspect. It's played off really well, and Jamie Lee Curtis obviously portrays it amazing, but that aspect is great. I think that's amazing. It's done in a really realistic way, and that was a good aspect. I like that. I like how she's secluded in the woods. She's away from everybody. I like that. That's good. That's good stuff. What I don't like is that it make her like this prepper. She has a basement full of weapons. She's like, I've been waiting for him. I've been waiting for Michael for 40 years. It's all just, it's too dramatic, in my opinion. It doesn't suit the character. I understand if maybe Halloween 2 happened. She had like a 5-minute encounter with Michael, and yeah, that's traumatizing. So the PTSD aspect makes sense. I understand, but to make her a prepper, saying she's gonna hunt Michael down, she's gonna kill him, she's the only one that could stop him, like, it's ridiculous. And it just overall, again, does not suit the character of Laurie Strode. She talks about Michael as if she was Dr. Loomis. You just go back and listen to all of her lines in the movie. Overkill. They went too far. And it's something that only worsens with the next movie. It just feels super random, to be honest. I don't think she had to be so obsessive over him and want to hunt him down because he's been waiting for her. It's ridiculous. The only reason they have that confrontation at the end is because the fucking dumbass Sartain subplot. Michael could care less about Laurie. So Halloween 2018, I will never understand why people think this is one of the best Halloween sequels, but again, all of you guys have the right to your own opinion. In my opinion, it misses the mark on so much, but at the end of the day, I can't really say it's a bad movie, because it's not. It's not a Halloween movie I go back to very, very often, but I still like it. It's a Halloween movie. I'm still going to enjoy it. I'm still going to love it, no matter what. Look, it's a solid Halloween movie that honestly holds itself back a lot from being actually great. Like, it could be great, but I feel like the movie holds back a lot. That's just my opinion. It's not the best Halloween movie, in my opinion, but it's a solid comeback. This was direct sequel to the original. Halloween had been dead for years, ever since Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. The hype for this movie was insane. I'll never forget it. This movie's always going to kind of hold a special place in my heart, because it was the first Halloween movie I saw in the theater. First horror movie, too. And that time was very special to me. You know, just the experiencing the hype of a new Halloween movie. It was insane. It was a special time for me. And even though I did love the movie when I saw it, but even though as years have passed, I've come to kind of push to the side because it's not my favorite Halloween movie. And in my opinion, it really isn't one of the best ones. It's a solid one. It's a good one, but it's not it's not like top 5. It's close. It could be top 5, but it just doesn't reach my expectations. Anyways, that's it for this video. I'll see you next time for Halloween Kills.